Sometimes it only takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes for a totally normal flight to become, well, just absolute terror. We're talking about November 27, 1989, Avianca Flight 203. It left Bogota for Cali, what they called the air bridge.
A routine flight.
Totally routine. Until about 7:06 a.m., just 5 minutes after takeoff. The Boeing 727 just disappeared.
Exploded midair. It killed everyone on board, all 107 people, plus, tragically, 3 more people on the ground.
Yeah.
So 110 lives lost.
An unbelievable act of narco-terrorism, orchestrated, we know now, by Pablo Escobar and the Medellín Cartel.
Yeah, so today we're really diving into the source material here. We want to understand, the mechanics. How did this happen? And who was the actual target? Because there's a story there. And then the really bitter irony of the quote-unquote victory that came out of it all.
Okay, so let's dig into the mechanics of this bomb. It wasn't just random.
No, definitely not. Placed under seat 14F.
Exactly, 14F. And that specific spot was chosen very, very carefully. It tells you something about the planning.
Right, because that seat, it's directly over the aircraft's center fuel tank. But the key thing is the tank was empty.
An empty tank, which, sounds safer maybe.
It does, but actually that's where the real danger lies, with the fuel vapors. Highly combustible.
Okay. So the initial blast wasn't even meant to destroy the plane itself?
Not entirely. The first explosion, probably classic explosives, was basically the trigger. It was designed to puncture that empty tank.
Got it. And then, boom.
And then the vapors ignite. A massive secondary explosion. The sources mention this explicitly. The goal was the further breakup of the aircraft. Just total devastation.
Horrifyingly effective. And all this incredibly violent planning was aimed at one man.
Primarily, yes. The sources point to presidential candidate Cesar Gaviria Trujillo. He was campaigning hard, very much in favor of the extradition treaty with the U.S.
Which Escobar absolutely did not want.
Exactly. This bombing, you have to see it in context. It was after the Galan assassination, part of this campaign of terror. Escobar was trying to, cut the head off the political movement against him.
But here's the massive twist, right? Gaviria wasn't actually on the plane.
He wasn't. His security team got a warning, told him not to board. So the assassination itself failed.
A failure that had huge unintended consequences for Escobar.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was maybe his biggest mistake tactically. Trying to kill Gaviria actually propelled him forward.
How so?
Well, the public reaction was just immense. Revulsion, anger. Gaviria basically rode that wave straight into the presidency in 1990. He got this incredible mandate.
And used it to go after Escobar.
Immediately. That's when, with U.S. help, he created the Bloca de Búsqueda, the search block, their whole mission, hunt down Pablo Escobar. So the attempt on his life created the very force that would eventually corner him.
The irony is just staggering. Now, let's talk about how they actually got the bomb on board. The tradecraft is chilling.
It really is. They didn't use a loyal cartel member, a sicario, prepared to die.
No.
They tricked an innocent young man, Alberto Prieto. We called him El Suizo.
Check him out.
They apparently told him he was carrying a device to record some people on the flight, maybe industrial espionage, something like that, and that he needed to turn it on 5 minutes after takeoff.
And instead of a recording device,
He flipped the switch on the bomb. Unbelievably cruel.
Just using him like that. But wait, there's another detail in the sources, right? About other potential targets.
Yeah, that's an interesting wrinkle. While Gaviria seems the obvious political target, later U.S. legal documents, the ones used against Anthony Muñoz Mosquera, La Kika,
Escobar's chief assassin.
right? Those documents apparently suggested the bomb also targeted suspected informants who might have been on the flight.
So is that real, or maybe just like a secondary justification?
Or
Or even disinformation?
hard to say for sure. Gaviria was clearly the main prize. Maybe the informant angle was added cover, or perhaps useful for the U.S. prosecution case against La Kika specifically.
Either way, the terror campaign just rolled on. This bombing was horrific, and then just, 9 days later?
9 days later, they hit the DAS headquarters, Colombia's intelligence agency. Another massive bomb.
The pressure must have been unbearable.
It was. And ultimately, it worked. That's the most tragic part. The sheer level of violence, the fear, it forced the government's hand.
Leading to the 1991 Constitution.
Exactly. A new constitution that included a formal ban on the extradition of Colombian citizens, which was Escobar's #1 political demand all along.
So 110 people died on Flight 203, countless others were terrorized, and in the end, Escobar got what he wanted from the state.
He did. The ban didn't last forever, but for that crucial period, he won that fight.
So, recapping the irony here, the bombing fails to kill Gaviria, accidentally makes him president. He creates the unit to hunt Escobar.
But only after the climate of terror forced the state, under Gaviria himself, to grant Escobar's key demand on extradition. It's just layers upon layers.
It really is. And amidst all this political maneuvering and violence, the human cost is just immense. There's one story from the sources.
Gerardo Arellano.
A well-known opera singer, a tenor. He was one of the passengers killed on Flight 203.
And his wife.
Yeah.
Her job was chief administrator at Bogota's El Dorado Airport.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She had to oversee the emergency operations for the disaster that killed her own husband. Can you even imagine that?
It's unthinkable, just absolutely unthinkable. It leaves you with a heavy question, doesn't it? When terrorism is, successful in forcing a country to change its fundamental laws, what does that really mean for justice, for the society, and for the families like Arellano's who are still living with the consequences today? Something to think about.